and they said he shot an intruder. And everyone was like on the local, again, right, the local message boards of that town. I'll know who he is because he's the one that shot this hunter a couple of years ago. And they knew that, he was a little trigger happy. And I'm like, someone tried to break in and he had to shoot them. Like, that's crazy, right? Well, the truth finally came out like a couple weeks later that one of the neighbors was over there and was trying to take his stupid Trump banner off the barn after the election. And he came out and shot him.
Did he kill him?
No, he lived.
Oh, thank God.
Punishable by death? I thought that was punishable by death. That's crazy. See, that's the one thing that scares me around here. My dad months ago asked me, would you be willing to put a Biden sign in your yard?
Said, not fuck you.
I'm so glad that I didn't, because these people, we live in a very big country area, and they all had guns, and they talk about their Second Amendment rights all the time. And now I'm like, damn, I could have been a target.
Worth it.
It's crazy. People are wow. Oh, we have a QAnon guy too in our local Facebook group.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, I've got the funniest story. You guys are going to love this. So,
okay,
back by the 4th of July, this guy posts his QAnon stuff on the Facebook page all the time. And so apparently QAnon had put out this thing that on the 4th of July at the Mount Rushmore celebration, John F. Kennedy Jr., who is alive and well.
Yes, he's not dead.
Yes, and he was going to parachute out of a plane onto the Mount Rushmore celebration, and he and Trump were going to announce that they were running together for this election.
Well, that is so exciting. Was Tupac going to sing him in?
Can you imagine the Kennedy turning red?
And getting in a parachute.
Yeah.
No Kennedy will ever get in a parachute.
I have heard the QAnon rumors, that they say JFK is alive. I don't know why they specifically think he's alive. You know what I mean? And he was so democratic. I don't know what it is with them. But the joy that your neighborhood site would bring me, Rachel.
You change your town, I won't say the name of my town because it's
right.
I will invite you to the group. Just change the name of your town to my town.
Well, I tell you, my towns, I'm in the city though, so it's all pretty democratic, my neighborhood. But when I go to the Facebook groups for where I work, they are so Republican. But since the election, they have been silent. It's only been talking about the neighborhood like it's supposed to be in the restaurant.
Good though, that's the way it should be.
Right. They've pretty much all shut up. The big news was that crazy guy did shoot and kill the other. He didn't kill him. He just shot him for trying to take down the poster. I don't know if he ever got in trouble. I never followed up, but I'm like, it's the second time you shot someone.
Right?
Apparently he's,
So one thing I've noticed on my local Facebook groups is that there's a younger demographic, women in their and guys in their early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not brave enough to really open up my mouth in that group. But mostly because my kids have been like, please, Mom, please don't. But, it's also, I don't want to lose my job. I'm afraid one of these lunatics will call my boss. But these women and men are really they are voicing their opinions, and these are good old boy type guys that live around here, and they are going up and they're intellectual. They present these great arguments. So when they respond back to them, they look like they're kindergartners.
That's awesome.
I'm waiting for them to be like, I know you are, but what am I?
Well, I'll tell you what, the Republican Party is, they're in a lot of trouble right now, obviously. But they've been in trouble since Obama. I have to say, because the popular vote has been all going to the Democratic Party, obviously, Hillary and this one. But with this COVID going on, a lot of people that live in California, New York City, in a lot of these blue states that are able to work from home are leaving and going to where it's cheaper.
Oh.
So they're moving into a lot of these red states, hence Atlanta. But we also can thank Stacey Abrams, who has been a fierce leader for the Democratic Party and really went in there and got millions of people to vote. I don't know if Biden picked her for the cabinet at all, but I think a lot of people said that Georgia needs her. Just like Bernie. I mean, like they were like, well, Bernie did though. He did pick them, but these are people that are very important where they are, and they shouldn't be moved, But with everybody, making an exodus, I know 3 people alone just in the last few months that have moved to Atlanta.
That makes a lot of sense.
They're very Democratic. So what's happening is once all these heavy populated areas move, like Tennessee, a lot of people have moved to Nashville. I totally think, that will eventually, it's all going to turn, it's going to turn blue. Not to mention the younger generation. I have 2 daughters who are like 24 and 26, and they don't give a shit about abortion being turned over. They don't give a shit about gay marriage. They don't care about any of that. And these staunch Republican conservative beliefs are not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
Their party's always been in trouble, I think, since Obama. Now, with what Trump has done, and I call them the school shooting generation, the young kids that have grown up having to hide under their desks, because they're afraid of school shootings. They're all voting age now. Now you've got a bigger problem because what do they call those kids? The Gen X? Or are they the Gen Z? Gen Z, right? They're all able to vote. And if you think for 1 minute they're not all voting blue, So the Republican Party, which was kind of surprising to me, Rachel, that you said that you've seen a lot of younger generation that are diehard Republican.
No, that they're going against the people.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually reached out to a couple of them, through Messenger to say, hey, I'm really honored and proud, that you live in this town with me,
Yes.
Good for you.
But they are like, it's more that, they're the ones being the adults, and these old people are the ones being the children, and they're
right. And you're right. Okay, now that makes more sense. Yes, but it's the Republicans are in trouble. They're in trouble. They really. Their generation that's voting is they're going to die off, and this younger generation wants nothing to do with them. And I've got to admit, I am not AOC liberal. You know what I mean? There's a lot of far left that I am not down with. And I would consider myself obviously liberal, but a little bit moderate. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot that I think is just, all right, too much. I don't believe in abolishing or any of the police. None of that.
Mm-hmm.
The defund the police, I agree with, but the way they're calling it defund, which makes it sound so much like harsh, like, oh, we're going to get rid of it. No, move the money around. Things need to be changed. I agree with all that. But this younger generation, the Republicans are in trouble. Yeah, I just don't see how their party's gonna, they're, Trump, I won by a landslide. No, not even close. If you go by the popular vote, he took a brutal beating, just like Hillary beat the shit out of Trump with the popular vote. Just wait till all those people move out of those blue states, Rachel, and start moving into those red states. That's what you're going to see happening. You don't think for a minute Florida won't flip? The people are moving to Florida. People from California, they're exiting. You know, they can work from home. They're all moving to these red states. And the Republicans are so like really want to keep that electoral college, you know, because I think they know they're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
So
you know, Trump was running. I remember there being several Republicans who had, you know, talked about how if Trump won the election, that it would be the end of the Republican Party. And they've killed him.
yeah. And, you know, as far as like, I know, and I was never like a crazy, huge Hillary fan. And I'm going to tell you why. For me, it was that I think she just wasn't likable. When she spoke in like interviews and things, I believe that she did not, wasn't relatable. I just didn't feel like, I don't know. I can't explain it, but I guess I can explain it because I'm not the only person that felt that way. And I will never forget like Howard Stern, who I listened to him religiously have for 30 years. He had said that he wanted Hillary to come in when she was running. And he said, I want to interview her and I want to make her relatable and let people see she's real, because he had met her privately before. And he's like, she doesn't present, like she needs to present more like the person that I've met, you know what I mean? And she never went on. And then after her book came out, she ended up going on, right? Maybe it was last year. And it was the best interview. I've heard it 3 times because they replayed it a lot, you know, on his days off. And she was so relatable and funny and witty and relaxed. And if that person would have at least came out, not to mention the Russia bullshit that I think, you know, came out with the emails and all that hurt her. But I believe that person would have made her more likable to a lot more people, made her seem more real.
I think the election that there were, like my mother-in-law voted for Trump, but it wasn't that she liked Trump. It was, there were a lot of people who voted for Trump because they were voting against Hillary.
Yeah, she put a bad taste in people's mouth. She really did. And, you know, I didn't follow all of the Benghazi and all that crazy stuff that they said that she did. You know what I mean? I never really looked into all of it. I'm sure obviously there's truth to some of it. You know, I mean, there was, you know, whatever. But for me, I was just like, I just didn't feel, and I mean, we're going up against Obama, who is the most amazing speaker. And, you know, I wasn't a huge Joe Biden fan, but since he's won, I really like him since he's been up there speaking, because he makes me feel like he is an average guy and he does care.
Yeah.
Like I feel a sense of calm.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he seems like a very, I don't know. Yes. And I love the way he's handled everything. You know, like he won't really talk shit. Like they talked to him the other day. Did you see? And they asked him about the impeaching Trump and that. And he's like, that's not my problem. Basically, I've got bigger things to worry about. I need to worry about getting this pandemic under control. And I'm not getting involved with whatever Congress does. That's up to them. You know what I mean? And they would just kept on digging and digging, trying to get him to like say something. And he wouldn't. He was very like, I don't want to get, you know, it's just not, it's not time. So I have, you know, gained a lot of respect for him as far as that goes. And I mean, people are like, well, their policies, and, you know, I understand all that, but I believe the way you present when you're speaking to the nation is huge.
Oh, for sure.
So, but you guys, we've been recording an hour, and
wow.
I did record 60 minutes tonight because they're interviewing Nancy Pelosi, and I'm going to be a monster and tell you guys I don't like her that much. I don't know what it is about her. See, I'm the type of person, like, I see the way people talk in their personality, and I read them immediately, and something about her just gets on my last nerve.
I'm the same way.
And a lot of my friends are like, she's a hero, she's an icon. I'm like, I know. I don't know. But real quick, last thought, Rachel, do you think he's going to get impeached this week?
I want whatever is going to take away his ability to run again. But keeping that in mind, there are 67 counts